Hi, how are you today? Welcome to Power English for Foreign Execs. I'm Deanne, and I'm so glad that you're here this morning, this afternoon, this evening. Uh, as you can see by the title of today's discussion or lecture, I hope it's not a lecture, but really more of a discussion, because I'd like to hear your opinion. We're going to talk about how do you prepare for the job interview as a foreign exec in an American-based company, either in your home country or here in the United States where I am. I wanted to give you a bit of an overview, maybe a little bit longer than my usual videos, but I think this topic is worthy of your attention and for me to share my background in working in human resources and in job hunting in this area. So here we are. Uh, the first thing I'd say is that you need to research the company, of course, and also the role of the job description within the company. See how broad it is. Make sure that you really understand what the responsibilities are and the scope of it so that you will be able to, in the interview itself, be able to use some of the verbiage from the job description in the interview. It's a very simple thing to say, but sometimes I think, because we may be a little bit nervous or just so excited about the position, we may forget these things. And all I'm offering you are tidbits. In my executive coaching, I go into a lot more detail in that. So the next thing is to understand what are the norms of for a job interview. I've always said, even when I wasn't a headhunter or a consultant, a job interview is a conversation. It's an informative conversation, but one nevertheless. Yet at the same time, it has its own set of rules and strictures. It's a conversation in my head, and it should be in yours, so that it cuts down on the nervousness. The person across from the desk is another human being just like you. So if you want to remember, as they're interviewing you, you're interviewing them too, about its culture, how they move about in the office halls, even in the reception area. Take into account all of these things and say, would I feel comfortable here? Would I fit in here or not? Or not? So, uh, err on the side of formality. And when I say err, it's ERR, meaning that if you make a mistake on the side of being formal until someone says, oh, you can call me by my first name or call me this, call me that. But especially at the level that you're going for, I would suggest that you err on the side of formality. I have some notes here, so that's why I'm looking down. And maintain a good body language. Sit up, don't slouch. Even though the person is saying, feel, uh, you're welcome, get comfortable. You say thank you, and you sit up even straighter, because they're checking you out as just as much as you're checking them out too. So the words might not always convey the real meaning too. And maintain eye contact. One thing with Americans, they look you straight in the eye without flinching. But at the same time, when you do that, you don't have to stare them down. But don't look away, especially when you're talking about or saying something important. It may convey that either you're hiding something or that you're shy. uh, and you don't want to convey that. So practice if you don't do that normally. Try to practice when you're talking with someone that you look them in the eye, but you don't have to stare them down. Okay. The next thing is prepare for common questions. They may ask you some kinds of what we would call behavioral questions. And this is where uh, you would use, and hopefully you may have heard of this technique or this model, S.T.A.R, STAR. The STAR technique is your response to questions they may ask you, which are open-ended questions. Can you tell me about a time when you had a challenging situation and how did you handle it? You know, or share with me what you did when this and this or something else happened. What are your strengths? And well, before I go into strengths and weaknesses, let me just go back to the STAR. STAR, it means situation, task, action, and result. And there should be a second R, but a second R for reflection. This is great for you if you could have two examples of that ready to talk about, because it helps to organize your thinking in your for the presentation, so you're not fumbling around and say um 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 oh yes, let me just share with you one of them. And then if they said, do you have any other situations, you have a backup star um, challenge. And it's just simply to say, we had, this problem in my current company or something in the past. This was the situation. The task was, um, what were you asked to do? And then what kind of action did you take to do this task? And what were the results? Oh, yes, it was to develop a sales strategy, and we had to work with different departments, and we did this and this, and the result was that our sales increased and blah 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 blah. Whether your sales increased or it didn't increase, for me, is not the issue. It's, what did you learn from that? Because even if the story that you tell or the situation that you tell didn't have the greatest sales increase or the greatest this or that, what did you learn as a result of that? That's a great story that you can also tell. And then the second R, as I would call it, the reflection is, well, how did this situation help me understand the company at large? Or how did it help me to understand the industry at large? Because if you're an executive going for an executive level position, they want to see your people skills. They want to see your conflict management resolution. They want to see your problem solving abilities. So everything an executive does is not always going to turn out exactly the way that we want. You're going to find some challenges. So they're looking at how you handle yourself in all of these situations. So think of it in that way. In my coaching, I go into more depth as to how you can develop several STAR strategy answers. And then the other one is to know the job market and the terminology uh, in English. In English. So I don't know all what you are doing and what industries that you're in, but certainly make sure you know the basics of the terminology in English. ask a friend, look it up on the internet, go into Google for translation. Okay, so definitely know those English terms and practice your English speaking skills there. As I talk about in my channel, I have idioms and phrases that are used in everyday conversations and also in the professional workplace. So check out those particular videos. I think they'll be very, very helpful to you. And if you like what you're hearing, I welcome you to, click the like button and also let me know in the comments what you think or suggestions for future videos. I really would love to hear your responses. And if you're very interested in knowing more about S.T.A.R and uh, my coaching for you to help you as you navigate through the American workplace, look for my information in the description box below. Okay, so next, prepare questions for the interviewer. Don't forget that you will also have opportunities to ask questions. And I think what would be that is really nice is you help to make it a conversation because sometimes during interviews, nobody says, the interviewer never would say, well, we'll talk this way first and then you'll ask me questions later. Sometimes it's just a give and take. So they want to see how you converse, in a very professional way. Ask questions. So be prepared with some questions to ask. And please do not ask questions that could be found on the internet about the company or about the job description. You know, where's your headquarters in the United States? Don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. No, not good. If I ever heard that, I'm saying this person did no research at all because they could have easily found that information on the internet. Uh, so I would ask questions like, why is this position open at this time? And how large is the team that you would be working with? You know, how many members are the teams with varied backgrounds and things like that shows that you are interested. Don't ask about how much the salary is. If they really like you, they will bring that up. Okay. But just make sure that the questions are insightful and thought provoking. You know, that's what's going to separate you from the rest of the interviewees. Okay. Really think about some thoughtful questions on that. And then you are soaring, definitely. And also, when you are asked about your work authorization and your visa status, make sure that you are as clear as possible with them because there may be some questions that the company will have to be involved with in terms of sponsoring. If they want to hire you, that they would have to have information about your visa status and potential sponsorship of you. And the next thing is to dress appropriately. As I said earlier, err on the side of formality, even though it may be a company that's very casual. Remember, if you see employees dressed like that, remember they already have the job. So you don't have the job yet. So I would certainly suggest strongly that you err on the side of formality. Don't overdo it, but at the same time, show that you're there and you want to be taken very seriously. Your body language, your clothing, your posture all says, I'm here to play and I'm going to play very, very seriously. Um, so then afterwards, I would certainly suggest this is another thing that sets you apart from the rest of the interview is send a quick thank you note to the person either who interviewed you. It may be human resources and or then it may be a senior a more senior executive. And if you can get their email address, um, just send a quick thank you note. And also, the thank you note may be another opportunity to clarify something. Maybe in your S.T.A.R presentation or in an answer that you gave, it was not clear enough. You may have said that you worked abroad, but you didn't say, and you could tell them that in the note. When I said that I worked abroad, I that meant it was in Northern Europe and in Africa. You know, just a little bit more information. All right, good, good, good. Or that if you already worked in the United States in the South, on the East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, whatever. Just a little bit more information. So, sending a thank you note, and also, if you can, make sure that you are able to get feedback if they are willing to give you feedback on the interview process. It's great when they give you feedback, especially if you don't get the position, but they really liked you. Just, if you could find out either from human resources or from the person directly if they want to talk with you about it. Just say, I just would be very interested. I really enjoyed our meeting, but I would love to know what is it that you could suggest, for the another position or something like that. Okay. So that's it. And if you have any questions, send me a comment. I enjoyed sharing this time with you. I think I may do something separate on the S.T.A.R presentation. I think that's something that would be very interesting to do. But in the meantime, thank you so much for hanging out with me for these few minutes. I look forward to talking with you again soon. Take care. All the best.